Well, it is sunny outside, but depending upon where you fall in the tax season, it could be cloudy where you are.
Yes.
It's either that season I love or the season I dread, but tax season is upon us, and many people will expect a refund this year, and Jeanette Pavini is here to make the most of our money, to help us guide us down that road, saying, you know, the question is to spend or not to spend, I guess, right?
Well, yeah.
You know, average, what's the average that people get back?
So the average this year is $2,900. It's almost $3,000. So
Or,
that
in Christina terms, 2 pair of shoes.
No!
Stop that.
I'm kidding.
No, it's so that can be a nice little chunk of change there for you.
Yeah, it certainly can. But how would you suggest that? Well, what do people spend it on the most when they get it?
Okay, so this is really encouraging, especially for those of us that are always trying to talk about saving money and paying off debt. 50% said in a big national survey said that they were going to save the money. So I thought that was really good. It's kind of a different mindset. And only 8% said they were going to do something like, you know, splurge or do something luxurious. So saving money is really kind of the mindset and the goal for most people right now.
What do you recommend?
Well, I think there's 2 things that you could do. There's a strategy to kind of take that money and make that money work for you, okay? And so my first thing that I would recommend is paying down credit card debt. If you have credit card debt, really it could be like a big monkey on your back until you pay it off. So even if you take part of your refund, it can make a difference. And so I'm going to show you how much of a difference that can make. Let's say you have $10,000 in credit card debt, and I want to say that the average American has nearly $16,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
But let's go with an interest rate of 18%, and you're making a minimum payment of about $200 a month. It will take you 94 months to pay that off. And what did we calculate earlier? We were thinking in terms of years, like 9 years almost.
8 years?
Yeah, it was a lot of years. I knew that I was going to be in my 60s or something, okay?
8.6.
So, and you would pay $8,622 in interest. So that's in addition. It's almost double, okay? So let's say you take $1,000 of your refund, and now you have $9,000, same interest rate, same monthly payment. You're cutting it down to 76 months and $6,098 in interest. Wow. So the savings is, I have a grand total of $2,524. So you're using that $1,000 of your refund. Yeah, it's the magic numbers here. You're using $1,000 to really make it like $3,500, right? Because you're increasing it. So that's my first choice. Yes.
Okay.
Well, what else can you do with the money?
So here's another thing, because I'm really into trying to make money work to your advantage, would be paying a little bit towards your mortgage. And I have an example for how much you could save. Let's say you're starting with a loan of $300,000 at 3.92%. It's a 30-year loan. Your total, by the time you pay off that loan, is going to be $510,640. All right. Now, let's say at the beginning of this loan, because it's going to depend on where you're at in your loan, but just for an example, you put the $1,000 there. You're now a mortgage of $299,000, same terms, but your total is only going to be $507,412. So you have a savings of $3,228. So, you know, that's a significant savings. But let's say you put $2,000, because I really want to give an example of how significant it could be. So you have $298,000. You're only going to be paying $504,000 and a savings of almost $6,500.
So almost doubles, but
from that $2,000, you're almost tripling the value. So if you can do that, and I think it's great that people want to save money, it's even better to try to make that saving money save you even more money.
Sure. Would you recommend if say I borrowed money from like Matt because he won Celebrity Apprentice to get? That's not true. I made that part up. No. I mean, it's critical that we see how much debt people carry on credit cards.
Yes.
That really is. That can really change and alter your life path.
Absolutely,
if you're in that much
can.
debt.
It is, and you know, I have to say, I recently did a big research study, an article I was working on, and I interviewed a lot of just basic average people living, their lives, and they are using credit cards to really just, it's not like they're spending it on wardrobes or trips, they're spending it on their living expenses. It's to live and to eat and to pay their medical insurance. And so it is, I think if you can pay that down first, and I also want to say, and of course this is a whole other story, but try to work with your credit card companies to lower those interest rates because they're pretty good about that.
Yeah.
So if I had to choose between paying off my credit cards or paying off my mortgage, what would you suggest would be the best?
So in my opinion, I think if you could pay it off towards your credit cards, because there's really no tax advantages to the interest that you're paying on credit cards.
Sure.
But 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a greater tax advantage on the interest that you're paying on your mortgage.
Can you work with the banks to lower that 18%, or is that?
Yeah, yes,
that's
you absolutely can.
Yeah.
I know it's high, and I hate to tell you this, but if you have not the strongest credit, your interest rate is close to 24%. That's the average.
Orly,
So-
did you have a question?
You nervous?
No, that just gave me anxiety. Sorry, when you just called me, I was like, woo.
But I just want to say that it's a common thing, right? And so Soph and I were talking earlier about the mindset of things. Don't beat yourself up or anything like that. I mean, I've been there, people have been there, and you just chip away at it. But yeah, take this money, make it work to your advantage, not your disadvantage.
And you could give yourself a little treat, couldn't
Sure,
you? So you
sure.
could do that big, like, I'm going to pay that off, and then get a little parachute.
Absolutely.
Just
But
kidding.
you have to get the shoes on
sandal.
sale, Sophie, and they have to be with a discount. Then you can do that.
But
the sale.
I know. But I will say, tax season, it really can be like, hey, it's
Yeah.
gonna be good, and then you're like, oh boy.
Yeah, and to go back to your question too, you really can work with your banks. It is worth it. It is worth the 5 minutes it takes to call the bank and talk, have a conversation. Can you work with me? Can you lower my annual percentage interest rate? Because I've done calculations on that, and again, it's a considerable savings.